everyone. Welcome to this week's 10-Minute Trends hosted by Direct Agents. My name is Megan Conahan. I'm an EVP at Direct Agents, and today we have a very special guest, Jared Zlotnick from Google. Jared, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure. Megan, thank you so much for having me. My name is Jared Zlotnick. I lead a sales team at Google, and I work very closely with the Direct Agents team, which is one of the great privileges of my position. And I'm so excited to be here today to share the trends that we're seeing and how we're preparing our customers to be successful and meet that moment.
Yeah, perfect. Now, before we get started, as many of you know, last week we postponed our virtual summit as well as our 10-minute trends. We just wanted to take a week to pause and dedicate time to supporting our diverse community. So before we did get started, we did want to touch on one thing. So Jared, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Megan. And thank you to you and the Direct Agents team for prioritizing allyship at the start of this webinar. Our first priority is to our people, to take care of ourselves and each other. And right now, and it will not end, we need to stand up and support our Black community. We have failed in that regard. And I know this is personal to a lot of people, and I want to help us move forward by taking an action. And that action, especially for those that are white, is to stand up as allies. And I want to share just a few do's and don'ts that were developed internally at Google, but this deck is available externally. And I know that Megan and team will share this. You know, one of the actions that I'm taking beyond education and participation is to take action and lead such discussions with my communities, especially those where we don't agree on everything. And the goal is to move people forward so that we do the right thing and that we create a society that is just and provides equality, because that does not exist today. And so just a couple of call outs here. What it means to be an ally. Take on the struggle as your own. Stand up even when scared. Transfer the benefits of your privilege to those who lack it. And then on the left and right, you'll see do's and don'ts. Do your research. Do not expect to be taught. Do amplify the voices of those without your privilege, and do not take the credit for the labor of those marginalized. These are things that we can do today and every day to bring about a more just society.
Awesome. Thank you, Jared. Okay, so now for some of our trends. We did want to cover 3 things today, and while we have Google here, we really wanted them to obviously shed some light on some of the trends that they're seeing, since they have access to all of the data. So we're going to talk about marketing strategies for reopening, looking at home trends or from home trends and just seeing where they are right now. And then we're just going to talk about what's next. So as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to chat them in the little chat function, and we can try to get to them. And if we don't, you can always email marketing@directagents.com. So Jared, let's get started. So right now, many states are reopening in some capacity or another, and everybody's in a different stage. You know, some in-store retail is allowed, some places that's not necessarily the case. So with all of this going on, can you just talk about some of the suggestions that Google is giving to brands and advertisers who are just catering to people who are in totally different kind of stages of reopening?
Yes, and the classic advice has been right message, right audience, right time. Mm-hmm. When you have a global pandemic and civil unrest, everything that you thought you knew changes. And so we have to be adaptable. We have to be nimble as marketers. And so one of the first pieces of advice that we offer is to ensure that you maximize query coverage. What are people searching, and how do you show up in order to meet that moment? And the 2 specific tactics that we'd encourage people to consider is, 1, to add keyword recommendations. So within the Google Ads interface, if you go to the recommendations tab, you'll see that there is an option to add keywords that we think will improve the reach of your campaign. Another option for those with rich information on their websites is to use dynamic search ads. This takes a lot of the manual labor out of it and enables you to increase reach while saving time. So this is kind of a theme where we're trying to use automation in parallel based on the insights that we're gathering in order to move faster and be more effective in achieving our marketing objectives.
Awesome. That's super helpful. The second thing I wanted to get your take on, obviously, since you guys have been tracking this so very closely, is just some of that at home or those from home trends that we saw really big upticks in earlier in the it's kind of like early, mid, late pandemic now, right? So like earlier in the pandemic, mid pandemic, we saw a lot of these at home trends really pick up. So are these things still trending, or have people gotten away from the workout from home, do more from home activities from home? So are we kind of getting back to normal from what you'd expect to see from search trends, or is at home still dominating?
I think prior to the pandemic breaking out, if you will, we had established processes for making decisions, and we had established ways of measuring success. And even as things were changing, a lot of people had a preference to stay with what they knew. And I think as a result of the pandemic, and really any moment of seismic change, more people than previously are using first principles to guide their decisions. So the answer to your question is things are constantly changing. Now we are choosing to use that information to make decisions. So for example, I wanted to bring up the most recent data I had on open up as a query. And so what I can see from, and as well as you can see from our Google Trends data, and specifically our coronavirus search trends report, which I know the Direct Agents team will share afterwards, Open Up has the most search traffic in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Maryland, New Jersey, and New York. So you're asking the right question, and we can use publicly available search trends data to drill down at where the opportunity is to inform our marketing strategies.
That's really great. And then maybe what we can do is chat the coronavirus trends report that Google has into this chat, as well as Direct Agents also has an Amazon one where we're tracking Amazon search trends too, so that people can use those as resources.
That's great. And even, because you brought up commerce, we have a new tool available called Rising Retail Categories. And so for the past month, lei, as in the celebratory lei from the Hawaiian tradition, is one of the top retail categories with plus 100% traffic from the previous month. Towable rafts and tubes are up plus 100%. For those that know about the disco tube, this is right up your alley. Dehumidifiers also up plus 100%. And then within shopping, we have a shopping bestsellers report that will actually show you competitive trends by specific product within a given category. And all of this, again, is publicly available.
Awesome. Yeah. And if anybody has any questions or wants to see any of that, obviously let us know. And what's funny is I saw the lei thing and I was like, what in the world is a lei? And I had to I Googled it, obviously. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, okay. That was an interesting one.
It's graduation season. And in fact, it's spiking most prominently in California.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Okay, so finally, we want to get to some of your predictions about what's next. There's been so many people talking and theorizing about what's lasting consumer behavior changes and what's just a fad. So I'd love to hear from you guys. What are you thinking that you're going to see from marketers and consumers over the next 6 months, year? What are some of the predictions that you're making?
So let's talk about consumers, businesses, and then maybe market trends. And when you and I were preparing for this, we were talking about how do we avoid the obvious, and how do we make sure that it's really insightful and specific to the audience. And that's a difficult balance because of how quickly things are changing. But to give you a few examples on the consumer side, new relationships to time and space. So as time and space have become more fluid, people find new ways to stay occupied and productive. So for example, searches for best skincare near me have grown 100% year over year. Searches for sand near me, 200% year over year, especially as we're seeing warmer weather in the US. New relationships to self and others. Searches for self-love quotes have grown globally by over 100% year over year. Searches for tie-dye t-shirts have grown globally by over 100% year over year. In new relationships to work and leisure, searches for best online courses are up 300% year over year. Searches for online jobs hiring, 700% year over year. New relationships to consumption and spend, searches for with free delivery have grown globally by over 300% year over year. So none of this may be surprising, but all of this is available so that based on your need and your business and your opportunity, you can see where the market is moving and meet the moment. On the business side, I wanted to share with you one insight. It's some research by Sirkin, and it says that 56% of marketers say that managing shifting priorities is the top challenges they're facing due to COVID-19. So companies are using planning and project management tools face fewer challenges than those that don't. So for example, those advertisers that are working with great agencies like direct agents and using tools like Google Trends or rising retail categories or coronavirus search trends or shopping insights, and they're bringing that into how they optimize campaigns, expand keywords, use automated bidding, and use Performance Planner to optimize budgets, you are set up for success in a meaningfully better way than those that don't. On the last piece, here's the obvious. The trends that you know are accelerating and deepening. You've heard that a lot, but think about what that means for your business and look at this opportunity as a chance to do things that you've never had the courage to do before, whether that's standing up as an ally to our Black community or making smarter, bolder decisions as a marketer to grow your business. And I just want to maybe conclude with something that I picked up from your LinkedIn, Megan, and I think it's such a great mission that we want to create lasting positive change. And I think if we set that as our intention each day, we will be the change we want to see.
Awesome. That was absolutely wonderful. I was very nervous when you said you got something from my LinkedIn, so glad it was that.
All positive.
So that's it for us today. Just heads up, next week's 10-minute trends webinar won't be happening because as we mentioned before, we rescheduled our virtual summit for next Wednesday from 1:30 to 3. If you have not RSVP'd yet, please go to directagents.com and RSVP. We have lots of great speakers from GE to Box, Belkin, Master and Dynamic, Cole, and a lot of others. So that's it for us today. As always, if you have any questions, email marketing@directagents.com, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, Jared.
Thank you, Megan. It was a pleasure.